Okay, so this is the second dialogue for 第五课, and the setting for the dialogue, as it says on screen, is in a restaurant in Chinatown. So obviously the characters are still not in China yet. But anyhow, the dialogue is representative of the sorts of things that you might hear in China. So we start off with the waitress, and let's see if we can play this.
请坐，请喝茶。
请坐，请喝茶. So that's fairly typical when you come into a Chinese restaurant, even here in Australia. They'll ask you to have some tea, and generally in China the tea is free. So we've got, what have we got there? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got three people, sorry, four people, 4个人. And they all say,
谢谢。
right, now this is important. So then the waitress, the 小姐, asks a question.
来一点儿什么？来一点儿什么？
Now that first word, and excuse me for looking over at my screen over here, but then I can draw a line where I want it. That first word 来, in the vocab list, it says come, and then we did the hand signal, which was that to express, come here, come here. In this context, though, in the context of a restaurant, 来 means to bring, as in to bring a dish. The word 来 only means bring in this context. So in normal context, it means come. But in this context, it means what would you like to order, 来, but really what it's saying is what would you like to bring? What would you like me to bring? 来一点什么? And she uses the 一点 after 来, again, just to make it sound more relaxed and more friendly. What would you like me to bring a little bit of for you? 来一点什么? Okay, so then let's have a look how Ma Li then responds to that.
小姐，你们饭店最好吃的菜是什么？
小姐，你们饭店最好吃的菜是什么? I think most of you are all fairly clear on what that means because we dealt with it in some detail in the grammar. So really so I'm going to look back over at my other screen so I can underline things for you. So we've got the noun 菜, 菜 meaning dish. And then all of the rest of this that I'm going to underline in blue is the attributive. So all of this is limiting what particular 菜 dish, or type in this case of dish, that Ma Li is asking about. Okay, and because the attributive here is quite long and it's made up of a number of elements, it's not a single character. Therefore, we use 的 to link. So I'll just draw a little arrow there. So we use 的 to link the attributive, which is underlined in blue, to the noun. Okay, so let's hear what she says.
糖醋鱼。
糖醋鱼. And we looked at that in the lecture. And then Ma Li responds by saying,
好，来一个糖醋鱼。
好，来一个糖醋鱼. So you notice here, and again I'm sorry for looking over to my other screen, you notice here that when Ma Li orders the dish, he uses the same verb, 来. So I guess you could think of it as, bring a sweet and sour fish, a dish of sweet and sour fish. So in a restaurant, even if the waiter or waitress doesn't necessarily first ask you 来点什么, when you want to order something, instead of saying 我要一个糖醋鱼, I want a 糖醋鱼, you can say 来一个糖醋鱼. 来, so that's the word that's used in this context. So let's have a look at what Jiangshan, one of the other people, having a meal there, asks.
我最喜欢吃辣的，你能不能吃辣的？
我最喜欢吃辣的，你能不能吃辣的? Okay, so this has got, I guess, a couple of interesting things we can talk about. Firstly, here is, so back to my red, here we've got the character 最 again, all right, and we encountered that before in 最好吃. So here we're using it in front of another verb 喜欢, which means to like. So again, 最 can be used before verbs. It can be used before adjectives. 最漂亮 to mean, in that case, the most beautiful, and in this case, 最喜欢 to like the most. Some people like to interpret that as being you prefer. 最喜欢 is to prefer, but I like calling it, what you like the most. And then 你最喜欢吃我最喜欢吃辣的. Now you notice that part of the sentence there finishes on the de. And it's like we've said many times before that in fact, I want to make that a bit smaller. In fact, basically there they've left out the obvious, which in this case is the word 菜. So that could be, in its sort of entirety, could be 我最喜欢吃辣的菜. But again, because in the context we know what Jiangshan is talking about, he can leave it out. And then he goes on and says, ask the others. I guess it's asking only one of the others because he uses 你能不能吃辣的? Are you able to eat spicy dishes, spicy food? 能不能? So again, the 能 here means, can you, right? But it's got nothing to do with skill. So we learned in the lesson today that 我会说中文, 会 relates to a learned skill. 能 is not related to a skill at all. But in this case, it's like whether you physically can tolerate, for example, spicy food. So some people, they might like to eat spicy food, but they can't physically tolerate it because, I don't know, it burns their mouth too much or it upsets their stomach or whatever. So the nong here is more related to circumstances enabling you or not enabling you, or conditions enabling you or not enabling you to do something. So in this case, it would be whether or not you can stand the spiciness, or whether your stomach can stand the spiciness. So let's have a look at what Bai Xiaohong responds, how she responds to that.
我能吃一点儿。
我能吃一点儿. So again, we're using, sorry, going back over here, we're using, now I have to rub out all those. Hang on, bear with me. I need to rub out all those previous marks. Actually, I think I can just do, there we go, in one hit. All right, and then so again here she uses 一点儿. 我能吃一点儿辣的菜. So I mean, she could have gone on and said, like 我能吃一点儿辣的菜. She could have put that in on the end there. So yeah, she can eat a little bit of spicy food, or spicy food that's a little bit spicy. Okay, now see what Jiang Shan says next to the waitress.
来个酸辣汤。
来个酸辣汤. So again, using the same verb bring, to bring, so that he's ordering, bring a 酸辣汤. But you notice here, he left out the e. So just in there before the g, he left out the e. So he could have said 来一个酸辣汤, but again, it's understood. So you can, in this case, leave it out. 来个酸辣汤. So it's understood as, one of. Okay, let's hear what the waitress has to say.
好，
好，要不要来个牛肉? So that's pretty straightforward. The other way you could do it is using ma. I guess you guys will know, could figure it out. 要来个牛肉吗？要来个牛肉吗? So yeah, I think you guys are pretty up to speed with the alternative question forms there. 要不要? Okay, let's keep going.
可以，来一个红烧牛肉吧。
可以，来一个红烧牛肉吧. Okay, so I mean, with this, where it's Ding Han Sheng, where Ding Han Sheng says 可以, you could also say 好, you could also say 行, and then the next bit is just again repeating this pattern. Bring a 红烧牛肉, so beef cooked in soy sauce. 来一个红烧牛肉. Okay, let's hear what the waitress says next.
还要什么？
还要什么? So here's another example of the use of this new word 还. So it's asking, in addition, what else do you want? So what else do you want? And Bai Xiaohong says
米饭。
米饭. And as I explained today in the lecture, 米饭 is cooked rice and 米 would be uncooked rice. So it'd be very unlikely anyone would ask for uncooked rice in a restaurant. Okay, and then Ding Hanshen expresses his preference.
水饺。
水饺. Fortunately, he didn't make the mistake of our Cantonese businessman. So for those of you that have listened to the lecture on, or were there today at the lecture, or listened to the lecture on ecosystem, you'll understand why I said that. Now, these two, and here I go with my terrible drawing with my mouse button, 米饭 and 水饺, you would know from the cultural presentation number 2 that these are what are called staples. 主食, 主食. And I mean, for us here in Australia, well, let's just say for those of us of say Anglo-Celtic or Anglo-Saxon background, we have two, I guess, used to have two main staples. One was potato, so a lot of people would have potato with their meals in addition to meat and vegetables. And the other big one that we have is bread. So for us, bread is a staple. It's something that we often have with our meals. But in China, the two main ones are 米饭, which I think, as I said in an earlier lecture, people, of course, all over China, and you would have seen that in the cultural presentation video, people all over China eat 米饭, but it's a strong preference of people in the south of China. 水饺 actually is it's a flour-based product, so the skin of the 水饺 is made from flour. And for the northerners, that they like flour-based products. Their preference is for flour-based products. So 水饺 is one example. And also in the lecture today, I mentioned the 馒头 or the 馍馍, which they have up in Beijing, which is a kind of like a steamed flour bun with nothing in it. So again, it's flour-based. That's what the northerners prefer. All right, and here's the last little bit.
好，请等一下。
好，请等一下. So you understand that, I'm sure. Okay, please wait a moment. So, I mean, this is actually a good example of the use of 一下. If she just said 请等, it kind of sounds very formal and almost a little abrupt. So, because obviously, she doesn't want to indicate to you you're going to have to wait for a long time. What she's saying is, you only have to wait for a short period of time, which is obviously a good thing to say in a restaurant. So, after the verb 等, she's added 一下. Now, we learned today that we could change that 一下 to something else. And what we learned was it could be changed to 请等一等. 请等一等. And that would be, the same meaning. All right. Thank you very much for watching.